Hi, and welcome back to Swindon Junction. Today I'm going to show you how to do some corrugated fencing and to add a little bit of weathering to the item, just to give it a bit more of a weathered, used, outdated type look. Okay, so I have some card left over. This is when I was mainly building the TMD building. It's still in progress. I have a little bit left over, so I thought I'd do a quick how-to and show how easy it is basically to make corrugated sheeting. Now there's various types in the past, especially on YouTube, that people have ever tried to do. I've seen samples where there are paper corrugated sheeting. I've seen people where they've made aluminium or aluminium in the UK sheeting, where they've used a template similar to this and they've put the aluminium on it, sheeting on it, pressed it in, and it gives you that corrugated form. With that, you have an option of adding your weathering powders, painting it, whatever you wish to do. Really, there is various sort of guises of corrugated fencing out there. I find that this one, if you can afford to do it, it's not expensive by any means, but obviously for the 2 sheets that you get with this pack, about £10-12 in the UK. But for this one, this is what I'm going to use, and this is the sample sheet that I'm going to do today. And for this, we're going to use some colourings. Got the Humble 56, which on this one is the Humble enamel. Now you can use whatever paints you want, really, for your your own project. It can either be silver, it can be grey. It's entirely up to yourself, and you don't have to be restricted on what I show you. This is just basically the paints I've got to hand, which I've already used on the layout as you've seen earlier on. So the next one's basically some weathering powder. This one's the rust colour, and the next one again is just a powder. It's like a chrome oxide. There's a little bit of white powder there if I need to use it. There's plenty of other, obviously, powders that you can use from different makes as well. It doesn't have to be from Humble. Again, it's entirely what you have to hand or what you wish to buy. The effect basically is the same. So let's move on, and we'll start with giving the sample piece a coating of the paint. So what I like to do is basically on mine is I like to segregate the parts first, and then we just basically give it a few slices and off they come. I don't tend to measure them too specifically because I'm sort of trying to portray a used fence, a broken fence, repaired fence, etc. sort of thing. It's not brand new. So do those there, and I'll leave that one there. Okay, so using the Humble paint that I showed you, the enamel, basically we're just going to give these a quick coating. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. So, as quick as that. So what I tend to use is just something like a thin blade. It can be anything from the tip of your scalpel knife or screwdriver, anything like that really. Because all you're doing is basically using the tip of that implement just to add the powder to the surface. So we're going to try with the rust one first. And simply what we do is we take a little bit of this and just gently tap, allow the stuff to fall down. Yeah, it's important that you obviously the screw at the tip or the implement that you're going to use is perfectly dry. You don't want to be sort of like cross contaminating it back into the actual pot. There's some big pieces that obviously fall off here. You don't need to worry about that too much because you can wipe that off. Just a little bit more on this one. And obviously because the paint's wet, this is ideal because the powders can just stick to the surface straight away. Okay, so what we could do now is basically we can tease these. So if you put an excess amount on, you can try and brush it up. You can just dab it in as well, so it embeds into the wet paint. And if you want to sort of like do like a smudging effect, just dab the brush and then move the brush up and down. It's entirely your own sort of way of doing things. And obviously if there's any excess on the surface, you can use that to apply extra coverage. I'm going for quite a worn look on this one today, so again just tease some of the powders into the groove, and if there's any excess you can just sort of quickly swipe it away. Okay, so mine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of this green, just a small amount, and it's just basically just to try to get it to go to some of the edges. Not too much. Now you can use whatever colour you want. You can do maybe a darker brown, maybe a bit of white where it's had like a chemical reaction to other materials that have been on it. It's entirely down to yourself what you wish to use. Always remembering obviously to make sure that once you've used the powders you seal it back up. Okay, there's nothing worse than preparing to do some work and you find that your powders have all gone rock solid because it's allowed moisture to get into it. And then again, what we're doing is just on the edges, just tease some of that green, because I know these are going to, when they sit, they're going to be sat obviously next to a scrapyard, also the railway on the opposite side, so you're going to have like foliage and stuff like that sort of either naturally sticks or stains the corrugated sheets. And there we go, that's the first side done. So just to show you the difference from obviously a plain bit of Plasterok card to something that's just had a quick coating of paint, and then we had some rust and a little bit of the chrome oxide powder just put in place. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer for you. Okay, so we allow that basically to dry now for sort of 10 or so minutes, and then we'll do exactly the same on the other side. Once that's done, that is basically your corrugated sheeting ready then to be installed onto your layout. So for the ones I did a few months ago, exactly the same process. You can see where I've added in the rust powder. There's very little green on this one, there's tiny sort of splatches here and everywhere. A little bit there at the top, and obviously we've gone to the effect of where one of the sheets was broken in half and it's been put back in. And obviously then you use bits of your static grass, the weeds and foliage and stuff like that you have, just to make that bit of scenery a little bit more realistic, but it just gives the background a bit more. And obviously for the rear we did exactly the same. This time we added in a bit of the white powder early on, and then we put some of the rust powder and the greens just to sort of give it that worn, sort of disused, old sort of style look. So there you go. It's just a short how-to, quite brief, but if you're ever looking to add corrugated sheeting or fencing to your layout, then I would recommend, this is quite an easy, relatively cheap, effective way of producing the end product. Like I said, there are other means of doing it. It's entirely down to yourself as to what you wish to do. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, please drop them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And if you'd like to hit the like and subscribe button, please do so. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye for now.